His hand slammed down on her table. "Come sit with us, sweetheart. We promise we don't bite." 3 drunk men surrounded the small Asian girl in the gray hoodie. The whole restaurant watched, waiting for her to cry, to beg, to run. She did none of those things. 15 seconds later, all 3 lay bleeding on the marble floor, gasping for air, completely destroyed. She hadn't even put down her fork. Her name was Maya Chen. She was 24 years old. And the men who thought she was weak just made the worst mistake of their lives. Drop a comment below, what city are you watching from, subscribe, and stay until the end. The Lighthouse Restaurant sat on the edge of Harbor Drive, where old money came to remind itself it was still relevant. Crystal chandeliers threw fractured light across white tablecloths. Waiters moved like ghosts, silent and invisible. The wine list started at $200. The clientele started at twice that in ego. Maya Chen walked in at exactly 7:15. The hostess looked up from her podium, and her smile flickered. Just for a second. Just enough. "Do you have a reservation?" The question carried weight, the kind of weight that said, "You don't belong here." Maya didn't blink. "Chen, 7:30. Table for 1. The hostess checked her book, checked it again. Her eyebrows rose slightly when she found the name. "Right this way." Maya followed her through the maze of tables, aware of the eyes tracking her movement. She wore a faded gray hoodie over a plain white t-shirt, dark jeans with a small tear at the knee, sneakers that had seen better days. No makeup, no jewelry. Her black hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail. She looked like a college student who'd wandered into the wrong zip code. The hostess seated her at a corner table, the kind they reserved for guests they wanted to hide. "Your server will be right with you." Maya nodded and opened her book. She'd been looking forward to this. A quiet dinner, a glass of wine, maybe some pasta. Her first real meal in 8 months that didn't come from a military mess hall or a MRE packet. She didn't notice the 3 men at the bar watching her, but they noticed her. Derek Morrison swirled his 4th whiskey and let his eyes wander across the restaurant. He was 42, CEO of a tech startup that had just closed its Series B funding. The gold chain around his neck cost more than most people's cars. Tonight, he felt invincible. "Check out the lost puppy," he said, nodding toward Maya's table. Marcus Webb turned on his bar stool. He'd played college football before his knee gave out, and he still carried himself like the world owed him something. His arms were thick as tree trunks covered in tribal tattoos he'd gotten in Cabo. "Probably a delivery girl who got confused." Marcus laughed. "Should we tell her Uber Eats is down the street?" Tyler Richardson didn't laugh. He smiled. It was worse. Tyler was 28, the son of Senator Richard Richardson, and he'd learned early that consequences were for other people. His father's name opened doors. His father's lawyers closed problems. He'd never been told no in his life. And he didn't plan to start tonight. "I think she looks lonely," Tyler said. "Let's be friendly." Derek finished his whiskey. "Lead the way, Senator's boy." They pushed back from the bar and made their way across the restaurant. A few diners noticed. Most didn't. This was the Lighthouse. Drama happened elsewhere. Maya felt them coming before she saw them. It was a skill she'd developed years ago, in places far more dangerous than this. The way the air shifted. The way conversations nearby went quiet. The subtle change in the room's energy. She turned a page in her book without looking up. "Hey there." Derek's voice was smooth, practiced. He pulled out the chair across from her and sat down without asking. "Table's taken," Maya said. Her eyes stayed on her book. Don't be like that. Derek leaned forward, his whiskey breath washing over her. We just want to buy you a drink. Pretty girl like you shouldn't be eating alone. Marcus positioned himself to her left, his massive frame blocking any easy exit. Tyler stood to her right, his phone already out recording. This is going to be hilarious, Tyler whispered to Marcus. Maya closed her book slowly. She looked up at Derek for the first time. I'm going to ask you once, she said. Her voice was quiet, calm, like still water. Please leave me alone. Derek's smile widened. Or what? The question hung in the air. A waiter approached the table. Danny Reeves was 19, working his way through community college one shift at a time. He'd seen men like this before, seen what they did, seen how it ended. Is everything okay here? His voice cracked slightly. Marcus turned on him. Mind your business, kid. Get lost. Danny hesitated. His eyes met Maya's for a brief moment. She gave him the smallest shake of her head. I've got this. Danny backed away, but he didn't go far. Smart boy, Derek said. Now where were we? You were leaving, Maya replied. See, that's the thing. Derek reached across the table and picked up her glass of water. He took a long drink, then set it back down with a thud. We're not going anywhere, and neither are you, not until you learn some manners. The restaurant was starting to notice now. Heads turned, whispers spread. A woman in a red cocktail dress leaned toward her husband. Should someone do something? Her husband shook his head. Not our problem. An older couple near the window exchanged glances. The wife, dripping in pearls, pursed her lips. She shouldn't dress like that if she doesn't want attention, she said loud enough to carry. Her husband nodded. What did she expect coming here alone? Maya heard every word. She'd been hearing words like that her whole life. Too small, too quiet, too Asian, too female. She'd stopped letting them hurt her a long time ago. Last chance, she said to Derek. Walk away. Tyler laughed from behind his phone. Oh man, she thinks she's tough. This is gold. Marcus cracked his knuckles. Maybe we should teach her what happens to girls who don't know their place. Something shifted in Maya's eyes. It was subtle. A change in the depth. A darkness that hadn't been there before. Derek saw it. For just a moment, something cold walked down his spine. Then he ignored it. Grab her bag, he told Marcus. Let's see what little Miss Attitude is carrying. Marcus reached for Maya's bag on the empty chair beside her. His hand never made it. Maya moved. It wasn't fast in the way movies show fast. It was efficient, economical. Every motion serving a purpose. She caught Marcus's wrist mid-reach, twisted, applied pressure to a point that sent lightning bolts of pain up his arm. He gasped, his massive body folding forward involuntarily. Derek lunged across the table. Maya's free hand shot out, palm striking his chest. Not hard enough to injure, just hard enough to send him sprawling backward into the chair behind him. Tyler dropped his phone. What the? Maya released Marcus, who stumbled back, clutching his wrist. She picked up her book and reopened it to her page. I asked nicely, she said. The restaurant had gone completely silent. Derek scrambled to his feet, his face red with humiliation and rage. His gold chain had twisted around the clasp, digging into his neck. You little Derek. Tyler's voice was tight. Maybe we should... Shut up. Derek straightened his jacket. She got lucky. That's all. Marcus was still rubbing his wrist, staring at Maya like she'd grown a second head. She did something to my arm. Some kind of pressure point, or... I said shut up. Derek stepped closer to Maya's table. You think that little trick makes you special? You think you can embarrass me in front of all these people? Maya turned another page. I think you should leave before this gets worse. Worse? Derek laughed, but there was an edge to it now. Sweetheart, you have no idea who you're dealing with. I could buy this restaurant. I could buy everyone in this restaurant. Money doesn't make you dangerous, Maya said. It just makes you loud. A few gasps rippled through the room. Someone actually applauded before being shushed by their companion. Tyler grabbed Derek's arm. Come on, man. This isn't worth it. Let's just go. Derek shook him off. No, she doesn't get to do this. She doesn't get to sit there like she's better than me. He leaned down, putting his face inches from Maya's. You're nothing, he hissed. You hear me? Nothing. A nobody in a cheap hoodie who wandered into the wrong place. And when I'm done with you? When you're done with me, what? Maya's voice hadn't changed. Still calm, still quiet. But something in it made Derek freeze. What exactly are you going to do to me? Derek opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. No words came out. Maya stood up slowly. She was small, 5'4", maybe 120 pounds. Derek towered over her by nearly a foot, but somehow in that moment she seemed larger. Let me tell you something, she said. Something my father taught me before he died. She stepped closer to Derek. He stepped back. He didn't mean to. His body just moved. He said, the loudest person in the room is usually the weakest. Real strength doesn't need an audience. Derek's back hit the table behind him. Wine glasses rattled. Your father sounds like a fortune cookie, Tyler said, but his voice was shaking. Maya didn't look at him. Her eyes stayed locked on Derek. My father was a Navy SEAL. He died in a mission that doesn't officially exist, saving people who will never know his name. He was the quietest man I ever knew. She let that sink in. And he taught me everything he knew. The restaurant seemed to hold its breath. An older man in the corner, white-haired, weathered face, sitting alone with a cup of coffee, leaned forward slightly. His eyes narrowed. He'd seen that look before. A long time ago in a jungle on the other side of the world. Derek found his voice. You expect me to believe your daddy was some special forces hero? That's pathetic. I don't expect you to believe anything, Maya said. I expect you to leave. Make me. The words were out before Derek could stop them. Bravado. Ego. Years of never facing consequences. Maya smiled. It wasn't a warm smile. If you insist. She moved. This time she wasn't holding back. Derek's arm was behind his back before he knew what happened, his shoulder screaming in pain. She'd used his own momentum, redirecting his weight, controlling him completely with what seemed like minimal effort. Marcus charged. Bad idea. Maya released Derek, letting him fall face first onto her table, scattering plates and glasses, and pivoted to meet Marcus. He was twice her size, 3 times her weight. It didn't matter. She ducked under his wild swing, drove her elbow into his solar plexus, and when he doubled over, she grabbed the back of his head and introduced his face to her rising knee. He went down hard. Tyler ran. He made it 4 steps before Maya caught his ankle with a sweep that sent him crashing into a waiter's station. Silver trays and water glasses exploded across the floor. 15 seconds. That's all it took. 3 men. 3 different approaches. 3 identical results. They lay scattered across the restaurant floor, groaning, bleeding, utterly defeated. Maya straightened her hoodie. She picked up her book from the floor, brushed off a splash of wine, and found her page. Then she sat back down at her table, the one that wasn't destroyed, and continued reading. The silence lasted exactly 4 seconds. Then the restaurant erupted. "Oh my God. Did you see that? Someone call security. Call the police. Did she just… How did she… What the hell just happened?" Voices crashed over each other like waves. People stood up from their tables. Some moved toward the fallen men. Others moved away from Maya, as if whatever she had might be contagious. The woman in the red dress had her phone out, fingers flying across the screen. "This is insane," she said to no one in particular. "This is absolutely insane. I'm posting this everywhere." Her husband grabbed her arm. "Don't. We don't want to be involved." "Are you kidding? This is going viral." The older couple near the window had a different reaction. The wife's pearl necklace trembled as she clutched it. "She attacked them," she said, her voice rising. "Did everyone see that she attacked those men unprovoked?" Unprovoked. A man at a nearby table, 40s beard, casual blazer, turned to face her. "Lady, those guys were harassing her for 5 minutes. They were just talking to her. They surrounded her table and wouldn't leave when she asked. Well, she didn't have to be so violent about it." The argument spread, pulling in more voices, more opinions. The restaurant had fractured into camps. Those who'd seen what really happened, and those who'd already decided what they wanted to believe. Maya ignored all of it. Danny, the young waiter, approached her table carefully. His face was pale, but there was something new in his eyes. Something like awe. "Ma'am, are you okay?" Maya looked up from her book. "I'm fine. Thank you for earlier, for trying to help." Danny nodded, not sure what to do with himself. Can I get you anything? A new glass of water? Some bread?" "Actually, yes. I ordered the seafood pasta about 20 minutes ago. Any chance that's still coming?" Danny stared at her. Then, despite everything, he laughed. "I'll check on that for you." He hurried toward the kitchen, carefully stepping around Marcus, who was still groaning on the floor. Derek had managed to pull himself up to a sitting position. Blood dripped from his nose onto his expensive shirt. His gold chain had snapped in the struggle, the pieces glinting on the floor beside him. "You're dead," he said, his voice thick. "You hear me? You're finished. I know people, important people. When I'm done with you, you said that already." Maya didn't look up from her book. "And you're still on the floor." Tyler was trying to stand, using an overturned chair for support. His designer suit was ruined, stained with wine and water and blood from a cut on his forehead. "My father's going to destroy you," he spat. "You have no idea who I am." "Senator Richardson's son?" Maya said calmly. "I know exactly who you are." Tyler's face went white. "How do you… You really should be more careful what you post on social media." Marcus finally struggled to his feet. His nose was clearly broken, already swelling to twice its normal size. He looked at Maya with something new in his eyes. Fear. Pure, primal fear. "What are you?" he whispered. Maya considered the question. "Hungry, mostly. It's been a long day." The restaurant door burst open. 2 security guards rushed in, followed by the manager, a thin man with a thin mustache and a thin veneer of control. "What is going on here?" the manager demanded. His eyes swept the wreckage, the broken table, the scattered dishes, the 3 men bleeding on his polished floor, and the small woman in the hoodie calmly reading a book. "Those men attacked her," someone called out. "She attacked them," the woman in pearls countered. "Self-defense. Assault." "Did you see how fast she moved?" The security guards hesitated, unsure who to approach first. Derek pointed a shaking finger at Maya. "Arrest her. She assaulted us. We were just trying to be friendly and she went crazy." The manager looked at Maya. "Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to… Ask me to what?" Maya's voice cut through the chaos like a blade. She still hadn't looked up from her book. To leave. To apologize. To stand here and explain why I defended myself against 3 drunk men who surrounded my table, put their hands on me, and wouldn't take no for an answer. The manager opened his mouth, closed it. Because I have about 24 witnesses who saw exactly what happened, including... She finally looked up, her eyes scanning the room. Your own staff member Danny, who tried to intervene before these gentlemen told him to, and I quote, mind his business. Danny, emerging from the kitchen with a plate of pasta, froze mid-step. Maya's attention shifted to him. Danny, did these men harass me? Danny looked at his manager, then at Derek, then at Maya. Yes, he said. His voice was stronger than before. They did, for several minutes. The lady asked them to leave her alone multiple times. And did they touch me first? The big guy, Danny pointed at Marcus. He tried to grab her bag, and before that the other one put his hand on her shoulder. That's a lie, Derek shouted. I have video. Everyone turned. A teenage girl at a family table near the door held up her phone. She couldn't have been more than 16, braces glinting as she spoke. I was live streaming the whole thing. You know, I thought she was going to cry or something. The girl shrugged. But then she went all John Wick on them, and it was actually really cool. Anyway, it's already got like 10,000 views. The color drained from Derek's face. Give me that phone. Yeah, no. The girl's father, a large man in a golf shirt, stepped between them. Touch my daughter and you'll have a lot more to worry about than a broken nose. The situation was spiraling. The manager could feel it. The security guards could feel it. Even the other diners could feel it, that particular tension that comes before something breaks beyond repair. And then the door opened again. The man who walked in changed everything. He was older, 50, maybe 55, with silver hair cut military short and a face that looked like it had been carved from granite. His suit was simple, dark, perfectly tailored. But it wasn't the suit that made people step back. It was his presence. There are people who walk into a room and fill it. People who don't need to speak to be heard. People who carry authority like a second skin. This man was all of those things. He surveyed the scene with cold, calculating eyes. The broken furniture. The bleeding men. The crowd of confused diners. And finally, the small woman at the corner table, her book still open in front of her. His expression didn't change. But something in his eyes did. He walked toward Maya's table. The crowd parted for him without being asked. The security guards moved to intercept him. One put a hand on his arm. The man stopped, looked down at the hand, then up at the guard. Remove that, he said quietly, or I will. The guard removed it. The man continued to Maya's table. He stopped beside her, and for a long moment neither of them spoke. Then he leaned down. Petty Officer Chen, he said, his voice pitched low enough that only she could hear. I leave you alone for one meal, and this is what happens. Maya closed her book. They started it, Captain. I can see that. His eyes flickered to the 3 men on the floor, then back to her. I can also see you finished it. They didn't give me much choice. They rarely do. The man straightened. His hand went to his jacket, and when he turned to face the room, he was holding a badge. The seal on it caught the light. United States Naval Special Warfare Command. My name is Captain Thomas Reed, he announced. His voice wasn't loud, but it carried to every corner of the restaurant. This woman is under my command. Whatever you think just happened here, I assure you it was far more controlled than it could have been. The room went absolutely still. Derek, still on the floor, found his voice. I don't care who you are. She assaulted us. I want her arrested. Captain Reed looked at him. Just looked. Derek's voice dried up in his throat. "What I see," Reed said slowly, "is 3 intoxicated men who harassed a woman half their size, who surrounded her table, who put their hands on her despite repeated requests to leave, and who are now understandably embarrassed that their victim turned out to be trained in ways they couldn't imagine." He turned to the manager. "Call the police if you like. I'll wait. I have several witnesses, including the young lady's video, that will show exactly what happened. But I suspect when the full story comes out, these 3 gentlemen won't want the attention." The manager looked like he wanted to disappear into the floor. That won't be necessary," he stammered. "I'm sure we can handle this. Internally." "I thought so." Captain Reed turned back to Maya. His expression softened just slightly. "You should finish your dinner. It's getting cold." Maya looked at the plate of pasta Danny had set down at some point during the chaos. "Actually," she said, "I think I've lost my appetite." She stood up, pulling some bills from her pocket and leaving them on the table. Far more than the meal cost. "That's for Danny," she told the manager, "for being the only person in this room who tried to do the right thing." Danny's face flushed red. Maya picked up her bag and her book. She nodded to Captain Reed. "Captain?" "Petty officer." She walked toward the door. The crowd parted for her the same way they'd parted for Reed. The same silence. The same respect. The same fear. Just before she reached the door, she stopped. The older man in the corner, the one with the weathered face and the cup of coffee, was watching her. He'd been watching her the whole time. Their eyes met. He raised his coffee cup slightly, a small gesture. A quiet acknowledgement. Maya nodded back. Then she pushed through the door and was gone. Behind her, the restaurant exploded into noise. Questions, accusations, excuses. The chaos of people trying to process something they weren't prepared for. But out in the cool San Diego night, Maya walked alone. Her hands weren't shaking. Her heart wasn't racing. She felt exactly the same as she had when she'd walked in. Maybe that was the saddest part. She'd stopped being surprised by moments like this years ago. The harassment. The dismissal. The assumption that because she was small, because she was young, because she was a woman, she must be weak. They all made the same mistake. They all paid for it the same way. She walked 3 blocks before she stopped, leaned against a streetlight, took a breath. Her phone buzzed. A text from Captain Reed Cars on the way. "You okay?" She typed back. "I'm fine." 3 dots appeared. Then, "That wasn't what I asked." Maya stared at the message for a long moment. Then she typed, "Ask me again when I figure it out." She pocketed the phone and kept walking. Somewhere behind her in a restaurant she'd never returned to, 3 men were learning that the world wasn't what they thought it was. That strength didn't always come packaged the way they expected. That the quiet ones, the small ones, the ones they dismissed, sometimes those were the most dangerous of all. And in a kitchen, a 19-year-old waiter named Danny was counting a $100 tip and thinking about the woman who'd given it to him. The woman who'd looked at him like he mattered. The woman who'd taken down 3 men like it was nothing, then asked about her pasta. He'd remember her for the rest of his life. He just didn't know how important that memory would become. The black SUV pulled up exactly 3 minutes after Maya reached the corner of Harbor and 5th. The driver didn't get out. Didn't need to. She knew the vehicle. Knew the man behind the wheel. Jake Moreno rolled down the window. "You look like you had fun." Maya climbed into the passenger seat without answering. Jake studied her face as he pulled back into traffic. They'd served together for 2 years. been through things that bonded people in ways civilians couldn't understand. He knew when to push and when to stay quiet. Tonight, he pushed. Reed called me. Said you put 3 guys on the floor in under 20 seconds. 15. Show off. Maya almost smiled. Almost. They were drunk. Sloppy. Any recruit could have handled it. That's not what Reed said. He said you were surgical. Said you could have killed all 3 of them before they knew what was happening. But I didn't. No, you didn't. Jake glanced at her. That's what worries me. Maya turned to look out the window. The San Diego skyline slid past all lights and shadows. What's that supposed to mean? It means you've been back stateside for 6 days and you've already gotten into a fight. It means you spent 8 months in a place that doesn't exist, doing things that never happened. And now you're eating alone in fancy restaurants and breaking people's faces. They touched me first. I know. That's not the point. Then what is the point, Jake? He was quiet for a moment. Then, when's the last time you slept? Maya didn't answer. That's what I thought. They drove in silence for another mile. The city gave way to residential streets, then to the darker roads that led toward the coast. Finally, Jake spoke again. Reed wants to see you. Tomorrow morning. 0800. About tonight. About everything. Maya's jaw tightened. I'm on leave. You were on leave. Now you're on whatever Reed says you're on. Jake pulled into the parking lot of a small apartment complex. Nothing fancy, just a place to sleep. Get some rest, Chen. You're going to need it. Maya grabbed her bag and stepped out of the car. She paused, one hand on the door. Jake? Yeah, thanks for coming to get me. He nodded. That's what teammates do. She watched him drive away, then turned and walked up the stairs to her second-floor apartment. The key stuck in the lock like it always did. The door creaked like it always did. Inside, everything was exactly as she'd left it 8 months ago. Dust on the counters, a dead plant on the windowsill, a stack of unopened mail on the kitchen table. Home. She dropped her bag by the door and walked to the bathroom. The mirror showed her what she already knew. Tired eyes, tight jaw, the permanent tension in her shoulders that never quite went away. She splashed water on her face and let it drip down her chin. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. You made a mistake tonight. Maya stared at the message. Another buzz. My father has friends in high places. Enjoy your career while it lasts. Tyler Richardson. Had to be. Maya typed back, tell your father I said hello. And tell him to Google my name before he makes any decisions. She blocked the number and tossed the phone on the bed. Sleep didn't come. It never did. Not since her first deployment. Not since she learned what real darkness looked like. Instead, she lay awake, staring at the ceiling, listening to the sounds of a world that didn't know she existed. At 0745, the next morning, Maya walked through the gates of Naval Amphibious Base Coronado. The guard at the checkpoint double-checked her ID. Triple-checked it. Problem? Maya asked. The guard, young, fresh-faced, clearly new, shook his head quickly. No, ma'am. It's just... You're female, young. He handed back her ID. You're really young to be a... I get that a lot. She walked past him before he could finish the sentence. The base was busy with morning activity. Men jogged in formation. Instructors shouted at trainees. Somewhere in the distance, the sound of helicopters cut through the salt air. Maya had spent some of the best and worst years of her life here. The grinder, the pool, the beach, every inch of sand held a memory. She found Captain Reed in his office, exactly where she expected him to be. He was behind his desk, reading something on his computer, a cup of coffee steaming beside him. He didn't look up when she entered. "Close the door." Maya closed it. "Sit." She sat. Reed finished whatever he was reading, then slowly turned to face her. His eyes were unreadable. They always were. "Do you know why I'm here, Petty Officer Chen?" "Because 3 drunk idiots couldn't keep their hands to themselves." "No, because you let them touch you in the first place." Maya's expression didn't change. "Sir," Reed leaned forward. "You saw them coming. You felt them approach. You had at least 30 seconds to defuse the situation before it escalated. But you didn't. You sat there. You waited. You let it happen. I asked them to leave, multiple times. You knew they wouldn't. Men like that never do." Reed's voice hardened. "So why did you stay? Why didn't you just get up and walk away?" Maya was quiet for a long moment. "Because I was tired." "Tired of what? Of walking away. Of being the one who has to leave. Of making myself small so other people don't have to face consequences for their actions." Her voice was steady, but something burned beneath it. "I've been walking away my whole life, Captain. Last night I decided to stop." Reed studied her. The silence stretched. "That video the girl took," he said finally. "It's everywhere now. Millions of views. Your face is all over social media. People are calling you everything from a hero to a monster." "I don't care what people call me." "You should, because Senator Richardson called the Admiral this morning. He wants your head on a platter." Maya's expression flickered. Just for a second. "His son started it." "Doesn't matter. Richardson's got money connections and a grudge. He's claiming you assaulted 3 innocent men without provocation. He's demanding a full investigation, possible court-martial." "That's insane. There's video evidence, which his lawyers are already working to discredit. They're saying it's edited, taken out of context, that you attacked first, and the video only shows the aftermath." Maya stood up. Her chair scraped against the floor. "That's a lie." "I know it is. You know it is. But Richardson doesn't care about truth. He cares about power. And right now he has a lot more of it than you do." Maya paced to the window. Outside, recruits were running the obstacle course. She'd run that same course 1,000 times, bled on it, cried on it, proved herself on it again and again. And now some senator's spoiled son might take it all away. "What do I do?" she asked quietly. Reed was quiet for a moment. Then, "I didn't call you here to punish you, Chen. I called you here because you need to know what's coming. Richardson is going to try to destroy you. He's going to dig into your past, your family, your service record, everything. Let him dig. I've got nothing to hide." "Everyone has something to hide." Maya turned to face him. "What's that supposed to mean?" Reed's eyes held hers. "It means I know about your father, about how he really died, about the mission that doesn't officially exist, and the men who never came home." The temperature in the room seemed to drop. "How do you know about that?" Maya's voice was barely above a whisper. "Because I was there." Reed stood up slowly. "I was the one who pulled your father's body out of the water. I was the one who carried his flag to your mother's door. And I was the one who recommended you for the SEAL program when you turned 18. Maya felt the ground shift beneath her feet. You knew him. Knew him, Chen. Your father saved my life. Twice. He was the best operator I ever served with, and when he died, I made him a promise." Reed walked around the desk to stand in front of her. "I promised I'd look after his family. I promised I'd make sure his daughter had every opportunity to become what he always knew she could be." Maya's throat tightened. "You never told me." You never asked. And it wasn't my story to tell. Reed put a hand on her shoulder. Your father believed in you, Maya. He saw something in you before anyone else did. And everything you've accomplished, Bud, as your deployments, your service, it would have made him prouder than you can imagine. Maya blinked hard. She would not cry. Not here. Not now. Why are you telling me this? Because Richardson is going to try to use your father against you. He's going to dig up the classified records, claim your father's mission was a failure, claim you're unstable because of unresolved trauma. He'll do whatever it takes to make you look broken. I'm not broken. I know that. But the public doesn't. The press doesn't. And a military tribunal might not care. Reed squeezed her shoulder, then let go. You need to be ready. This fight isn't going to be physical. It's going to be political. And you're going to need allies. What kind of allies? Before Reed could answer, his office door burst open. A young officer rushed in, breathless. Sir, you need to see this. Right now. Reed frowned. What is it? Senator Richardson. He just held a press conference. He's calling for a congressional investigation into the entire SEAL program. Maya felt her stomach drop. What? The officer pulled out his phone, hands shaking, and hit play on a video. Senator Richardson's face filled the screen. Expensive suit, perfect hair, eyes like a shark. Last night, my son was brutally attacked by a member of the United States Navy's most elite Special Operations Unit. This woman, this supposed soldier, used lethal force against 3 unarmed civilians in a public restaurant. My son is traumatized. His friends are hospitalized. And the Navy's response, silence. Richardson leaned into the camera. This is not an isolated incident. This is a symptom of a military culture that has gone too far. A culture that trains killers and then releases them into our communities without oversight, without accountability. I am calling for a full congressional investigation into the SEAL program. I want answers. I want justice. And I want this woman court-martialed and imprisoned for what she did to my boy. The video ended. Maya stared at the screen. He's lying, she said. Everything he said is a lie. Doesn't matter. Reed's voice was grim. He's a senator. He's got the media. And by tonight, his version of events will be the only one anyone remembers. Maya's hands clenched into fists. 8 months in hostile territory. Missions that pushed her body and mind to the absolute limit. She'd faced death a dozen times and never flinched. But this was different. This was a fight she didn't know how to win. What do we do? She asked. Reed walked back to his desk and pulled open a drawer. He removed a file folder, thick, worn, clearly old, and handed it to her. You read this, you learn it, and then you decide how far you're willing to go. Maya looked at the folder. Her father's name was stamped on the front. What is this? The truth about your father's final mission. The real truth. Not the classified version, not the redacted version, everything. Reed met her eyes, including the name of the man who betrayed him. Maya's blood ran cold. Betrayed him? My father was killed in action. Friendly fire was ruled out. Officially, yes. Unofficially. Reed shook his head. There's a reason that mission was buried. A reason no one talks about it. A reason I've kept these files hidden for 16 years. Maya opened the folder. The first page was a photograph. Her father young and strong, standing with his team before deployment. And next to him, arm around his shoulder, smiling like they were brothers, Senator Richard Richardson. Maya's heart stopped. Richardson, she whispered. Richardson was on my father's team. More than that. Reed's voice was heavy. Richardson was his commanding officer. And when the mission went wrong, when your father was left behind enemy lines, Richardson was the one who gave the order to abort the rescue. The room spun. Maya gripped the edge of the desk to steady herself. He left him to die. He left all of them to die. Your father. 3 other SEALs. A Navy medic. Richardson got on the extraction helicopter and flew away while his men were still fighting. Reed's jaw tightened. He received a medal for that mission, for his leadership under fire. He used it to launch his political career, and he's been burying the truth ever since. Maya looked at the photograph again. Her father's smile. Richardson's smile. Brothers in arms. Until one decided the other was expendable. Does he know? Maya asked. Does Richardson know who I am? He didn't. Until last night. Reed paused. His son's attack report listed your name. Richard Richardson saw it this morning. That's why he went to the press so fast. That's why he's trying to destroy you before you can destroy him. He's scared. Terrified. You're the one person in the world who could expose him, who could prove what really happened 16 years ago. Reed leaned against his desk. Richardson isn't just trying to protect his son. He's trying to protect himself, his career, his legacy, everything he's built on top of your father's grave. Maya closed the folder. Her hands weren't shaking. Her voice was steady, but inside something had changed. Something had hardened into steel. What do you need me to do? Reed almost smiled. I need you to fight. Not with your fists, you've already proven you can do that. I need you to fight with the truth. I need you to take everything in that folder and make it public. How? I have contacts, journalists, former operators who know the real story. We've been waiting for the right moment to come forward. Reed straightened. You're that moment, Chen. You're the one Richardson fears. And you're the one who can finally make him pay for what he did. Maya thought about her father. About the last time she'd seen him 8 years old, watching him walk out the door in his uniform, promising he'd be home soon. He never came home? And now she knew why. I'm in, she said. Reed nodded. Good. Because starting tomorrow, Senator Richardson is going to learn something he should have known 16 years ago. What's that? Reed looked at her with something that might have been pride. That Commander David Chen's daughter is every bit as dangerous as he was. Maybe more. Maya tucked the folder under her arm and walked toward the door. She paused with her hand on the handle. Captain. Yes. That promise you made to my father, to look after his family. She turned to face him. You kept it. I won't forget that. Reed nodded slowly. Your father would be proud of you, Maya. Don't ever doubt that. Maya stepped through the door and into the bright California morning. The war was just beginning, and for the first time in her life, she wasn't walking away. She was walking toward the truth, toward justice, toward the man who killed her father. Maya spent the next 48 hours reading her father's file. Every page, every photograph, every classified document that should have been destroyed years ago. The story it told was nothing like the one she'd grown up believing. Commander David Chen hadn't died in a routine operation. He'd died because the man he trusted most left him behind. The mission was called Operation Silent Thunder. June 14, 2008. A small island off the coast of the Philippines. Intel suggested a high-value target, a weapons dealer connected to terrorist networks across Southeast Asia, was hiding in a fortified compound. 6 men went in. Lieutenant Richard Richardson led the team. David Chen was his second in command. The extraction point was compromised. Enemy forces surrounded them. Richardson called for an emergency evac. The helicopter came. Richardson got on. David Chen and 3 others were still fighting 200 meters away. Richardson gave the order to leave. The official report said there wasn't time. Said the enemy was closing in. Said Richardson made a command decision that saved the lives of everyone on that helicopter. But the file in Maya's hands told a different story. Radio transcripts, survivor testimony, a timeline that didn't match. Richardson had 7 minutes. 7 minutes where the helicopter sat on that beach rotor spinning while 4 American soldiers died less than a quarter-mile away. 7 minutes that he spent arguing with the pilot about whether to wait. 7 minutes that ended when Richardson physically threatened to shoot anyone who tried to go back. Maya read it again. And again. Her father had survived the initial firefight. He'd made it to within 50 meters of the extraction point. He'd been screaming into the radio, begging for the helicopter to hold position. Richardson turned off his radio and flew away. Maya closed the file. Her hands were trembling. Not from fear, from rage. 16 years. For 16 years, Richard Richardson had built a career on her father's grave. Senator, committee chairman, presidential hopeful. All of it built on a lie. All of it built on murder. Her phone rang. Jake's name flashed on the screen. Yeah. You need to get to Reed's office, now. What happened? Richardson made his move. And it's worse than we thought. 20 minutes later, Maya stood in Reed's office with Jake watching the news unfold on the captain's computer screen. A reporter stood outside the Pentagon, microphone in hand, looking appropriately grave. Breaking news this hour. Senator Richard Richardson has submitted a formal request to the Department of Defense demanding the immediate discharge of Petty Officer Maya Chen from the United States Navy. The senator claims Chen represents a, quote, clear and present danger to national security, and has accused her of, quote, psychological instability stemming from unresolved family trauma. Maya's blood turned to ice. The reporter continued. Richardson has also released previously classified documents suggesting that Chen's father, Commander David Chen, was killed during a, quote, botched mission that resulted from his own tactical errors. The senator claims these documents prove that the Chen family has a history of dangerous behavior and poor judgment. Reed muted the television. He's rewriting history, Maya said. Her voice was barely controlled. He's making my father the villain. That's not all. Reed pulled up something on his computer. Richardson's lawyers filed a motion this morning. They're requesting access to your full military record, your psychological evaluations, your mission reports, everything. Can they do that? Normally, no. But Richardson has friends on the Armed Services Committee, friends who owe him favors. Reed turned to face her. If he gets those files, he'll twist everything. Every mission you've been on, every decision you've made. He'll make you look unstable, dangerous, unfit for service. Jake stepped forward. So what do? We can't just let him. We fight back. Maya's voice was steel. He wants a war, fine, but we're not fighting on his terms anymore. Reed studied her. What are you thinking? Richardson is controlling the narrative because he got there first. He's feeding the media his version of events. We need to feed them ours. We can't release classified documents to the press. We don't have to. We just need to release the right ones. Maya picked up her father's file. There are survivors, men who were on that helicopter, men who know what really happened. Reed shook his head slowly. Most of them are dead. The ones who aren't. They've been silent for 16 years. Richardson made sure of that. How? Money. Threats. A few convenient accidents that were never investigated. Reed's voice darkened. Richardson doesn't just bury secrets. He buries the people who carry them. Maya felt the weight of those words, the implications. So he's killed to keep this quiet. I can't prove it, not yet. But 3 men from that mission died within 5 years of coming home. Car accident, drowning, apparent suicide. Reed met her eyes. None of them had families. None of them had anyone to ask questions. But you survived. Because I was useful to him, I rose through the ranks, became someone he couldn't touch without raising suspicions. Reed's jaw tightened. And because I made him believe I was loyal, that I'd take his secrets to my grave. Why didn't you come forward before? Because I didn't have proof. Just suspicions. Just the word of a decorated senator against a career military officer. Reed gestured to the file. But your father kept records. Detailed records. Things Richardson didn't know existed. I found them 5 years ago, hidden in a storage unit your mother never knew about. Maya processed this. Her mother. Did she know? Did she spend the last 16 years believing the lie to my mother? Maya said slowly. Does she? She knows nothing. Your father protected her, kept her away from everything classified. Reed paused. She believes what everyone believes, that David Chen died a hero in service to his country. He did die a hero. Yes, but not the way anyone thinks. Reed stood up and walked to his window. Your father figured it out, Maya. Somewhere in that compound he realized what Richardson was doing, that the mission was compromised from the start, that Richardson never intended for everyone to come home. Maya's mind raced. What do you mean, compromised? The weapons dealer we were targeting. He wasn't just connected to terrorist networks. He was connected to American intelligence, to people in Washington who wanted him protected. Reed turned back to face her. Richardson's job wasn't to capture him. It was to make sure the mission failed, to eliminate anyone who got too close to the truth. My father got too close. Your father figured out that Richardson was dirty, that he'd been taking money from people who would sell weapons to anyone with cash. Reed's voice dropped. David confronted him. The night before extraction, told Richardson he was going to report everything when they got home. Maya felt sick. So Richardson left him to die. On purpose. On purpose. And then he came home a hero. Used his medal to launch his political career. Buried the evidence. Silenced the witnesses. Reed's eyes burned. Your father wasn't just killed, Maya. He was erased. And the man who did it became one of the most powerful people in the country. The room was silent, except for the hum of the computer. Jake spoke first. So how do we prove it? How do we take down a senator with the entire establishment behind him? Maya looked at her father's file, at the photograph of him standing next to Richardson. 2 brothers in arms who should have trusted each other with their lives. We find someone who was there, she said. Someone Richardson thinks is dead. Someone who can look into a camera and tell the world what really happened. Reed shook his head. I told you everyone is not everyone. Maya flipped to a page near the back of the file. A name circled in red ink. Marcus Webb, Chief Petty Officer. He was on the extraction helicopter. He's listed as deceased, drowned in 2012. He did drown. I was at the funeral. Was there a body? Reed froze. Maya pointed to the circled name. My father wrote this. M.W. alive. Witness protection. Follow up. He knew Captain. He knew Webb was still alive. Jake grabbed the file and looked at the page. Holy crap. If Webb is alive, then we have a witness. A living, breathing witness who can testify that Richardson abandoned his men. Maya's pulse quickened. We need to find him. Reed was already at his computer typing rapidly. If Webb is in witness protection, there will be records. Buried records, but they exist. I have contacts in the Marshal Service who might... His phone rang. Reed answered, listened for 30 seconds, then hung up. His face had gone pale. What is it? Maya asked. Richardson. He's holding another press conference in 1 hour. Reed looked at her. He's going to announce that you've been officially recommended for court-martial, and he's naming me as your co-conspirator. What? He's saying I've been harboring classified documents, that I've been grooming you as part of some vendetta against him. Reed grabbed his jacket. He's going to try to have us both arrested. Jake cursed under his breath. We need to go, now, before... The door to Reed's office burst open. 2 MPs stood in the doorway. Behind them a man in a suit Maya didn't recognize. Captain Thomas Reed, the suited man said. You're under arrest for violation of the Espionage Act, unauthorized possession and distribution of classified materials. This is insane, Reed said. I haven't distributed anything. Save it for your lawyer. The man turned to Maya. Petty Officer Chen, you're being detained pending investigation. Don't make this difficult. Maya's training kicked in. She assessed the room. 2 MPs, both armed. 1 civilian, probably DOD. Jake to her left, unarmed but ready. Reed in front of her, hands rising slowly. She could fight. Take down all 3 before they knew what hit them. But then what running would prove Richardson right. Would make her look guilty. Maya? Reed's voice was calm. Don't. Not like this. She met his eyes, saw the message there. Trust me. There's another way. Maya raised her hands slowly. I'm not resisting, she said. But I want it on record that this is a political hit job. Senator Richardson is using his power to silence witnesses to his own crimes. The suited man smirked. Tell it to the judge. They put Maya and Reed in separate vehicles. Jake tried to intervene, but there was nothing he could do. Nothing legal, anyway. As they drove her away from the base, Maya watched the ocean disappear behind her. The same ocean her father had trained in, had bled in, had loved. She wasn't going to let Richardson win. Not today. Not ever. The holding facility was cold and gray. Maya sat alone in an interrogation room for 3 hours before anyone came to see her. When the door finally opened, she expected a lawyer, maybe another investigator. She didn't expect the woman who walked in. 50 years old, gray hair pulled back tight, eyes that had seen too much and trusted too little. She wore a simple black suit and carried a thin folder. She sat down across from Maya without introducing herself. Do you know who I am? Maya shook her head. My name is Catherine Webb. My husband was Marcus Webb. Maya's heart stopped. He's not dead, Catherine continued. He never was. We staged his death 10 years ago because people were trying to kill him. People connected to Senator Richardson. Maya leaned forward. Where is he now? Safe, for the moment. Catherine opened her folder. But Richardson knows we're still alive. He's been hunting us for years. And now that you've stirred things up, he's getting desperate. Desperate enough to do what? Desperate enough to make mistakes. Catherine pulled out a photograph and slid it across the table. This was taken 3 days ago, outside our safe house in Montana. The photograph showed a black SUV parked on a rural road. Through the window, barely visible, a man with a telephoto lens. Richardson's people found us, Catherine said. We've been running ever since. Why come to me? Why now? Catherine's eyes met Maya's. There was pain there. Old pain. The kind that never really heals. Because Marcus wants to talk. He's been carrying this secret for 16 years and it's killing him. He wants to tell the truth about what happened to your father. She paused. But he's terrified. Richardson has tried to kill him twice. If he comes forward, he's signing his own death warrant. Maya understood. More than Catherine could know. What do you need from me? Protection. Real protection. Not the kind that comes with a badge and can be bought off. Catherine leaned closer. Marcus said you're David Chen's daughter. He said if anyone can keep us safe, it's you. I'm in a holding cell. I can't even keep myself safe right now. You won't be in here for long. Richardson's overplayed his hand. The arrest warrant was rushed. There are already lawyers filing emergency motions. You'll be out by morning. Catherine stood up. When you are come, find us. Marcus will tell you everything. Names, dates, the location of evidence that will destroy Richardson's career. She walked toward the door. Wait, Maya called. How did you get in here? How did you even know where I was? Catherine paused with her hand on the door. Your father saved my husband's life on that mission. Carried him half a mile through enemy fire when his leg was shattered. She turned back, and for the first time, Maya saw tears in her eyes. Marcus always said David Chen was the bravest man he ever knew. He said he'd follow him into hell and back. She opened the door. I guess in a way he still is. The door closed behind her. Maya sat alone in the silence, her father's ghost surrounding her. Tomorrow, she would be free. Tomorrow, the real fight would begin. And somewhere out there, a man who'd been dead for 10 years was about to come back to life. Senator Richardson had no idea what was coming. But Maya did. And for the first time since this nightmare started, she smiled. Catherine Webb was right. Maya walked out of the holding facility at 6:47 the next morning. The arrest warrant had been thrown out by a federal judge who called it politically motivated and procedurally defective. Richardson's lawyers had moved too fast, cut too many corners. By trying to silence Maya quickly, they'd given her exactly what she needed: public sympathy and legal ammunition. Jake was waiting outside in his truck. You look like hell, he said as she climbed in. Feel like it too. Maya pulled on her seatbelt. Where's Reed? Still inside. His charges are sticking for now. Different judge, different jurisdiction. Jake started the engine. But his lawyers are good. He should be out by end of day. Maya stared out the window. Richardson knows we're coming. He's going to move faster now. Then we move faster. Jake handed her a burner phone. Catherine Webb called while you were inside. She left coordinates. They're ready to meet. Maya looked at the phone. A single text message with GPS coordinates and 3 words. Come alone. Tonight. Alone, Maya repeated. I know. I don't like it either. Jake's jaw tightened. But if Marcus Webb has what Catherine says he has, then I have to go. Maya pocketed the phone. Drop me at my apartment. I need to grab some things. Maya, I know what I'm doing, Jake. He looked at her for a long moment. Then he nodded and pulled out of the parking lot. They didn't speak for the rest of the drive. Maya's apartment felt different when she walked in. Smaller, somehow, like she'd outgrown it in the past few days. She moved quickly, grabbing essentials. Cash, a change of clothes, the photograph of her father she kept on her nightstand. She paused, looking at his face. 20 years old in the picture. Younger than she was now, eyes full of hope and determination. No idea what was waiting for him. "I'm going to finish this," she whispered. "I promise." She tucked the photograph into her bag and walked out. The coordinates led to a cabin outside Helena, Montana. 14 hours of driving. Maya made it in 12. The road turned to dirt about 5 miles before the destination. No streetlights, no other cars, just darkness and the yellow wash of her headlights cutting through the night. She found the cabin at the end of a narrow path. No lights visible inside. No signs of life. Maya parked and killed the engine. Her hand moved to the knife strapped to her ankle, old habits from deployments she couldn't talk about. She stepped out of the car. "Stop there." The voice came from her left. Male. Strained. Afraid. Maya raised her hands slowly. "I'm Maya Chen. Catherine sent me." Silence. Then footsteps. A man emerged from the tree line limping heavily. He was in his 60s, gray-beard eyes that had seen too much death. His right leg was twisted at an angle that spoke of old injuries never properly healed. Marcus Webb looked nothing like his photograph. "You're David's daughter," he said. Not a question. "Yes." Marcus stared at her for a long moment. Then something broke in his face, a wall crumbling after years of holding back the flood. "You have his eyes," he whispered. "Same damn eyes." Catherine appeared behind him, her hand on his shoulder. "Let's go inside. We don't have much time." The cabin was sparse. A table, a few chairs, a laptop connected to some kind of satellite uplink. Catherine had been serious about staying off the grid. Marcus sat heavily, his bad leg stretched out in front of him. Maya took the chair across from him. "Tell me everything," she said. Marcus looked at his wife. She nodded. 16 years, he began, his voice rough. 16 years I've carried this. Thought I'd take it to my grave. Hell, I almost did twice. Richardson tried to kill you. Tried. Failed. But not for lack of trying. Marcus pulled up his shirt, revealing a scar that ran from his hip to his ribs. First attempt was a car accident. Second was a home invasion that was supposed to look like a robbery gone wrong. He dropped his shirt. After that, we disappeared. Catherine said you have evidence. I do. But before I show you, you need to understand what you're walking into. Marcus leaned forward. Richardson isn't just a corrupt senator. He's connected to people who make him look like a choir boy. Intelligence agencies, defense contractors, foreign governments. The network goes deeper than you can imagine. Maya didn't flinch. I don't care how deep it goes. I care about the truth. The truth, Marcus laughed bitterly. The truth is that your father figured out Richardson was selling intelligence to the highest bidder. The truth is that our mission in the Philippines wasn't a rescue operation. It was a cover-up. We were sent to kill a man who knew too much, and when David realized what was happening, he tried to stop it. So Richardson left him to die. Richardson executed him. Marcus's voice cracked. Not with his own hands, but it might as well have been. He radioed our position to the enemy, told them exactly where we were. Then he got on that helicopter and watched while they surrounded us. Maya felt her chest tighten. You saw this. I heard it. I was on the radio when Richardson made the call. I heard him give our coordinates to someone on an unsecured frequency. I heard him say... Marcus stopped, his eyes closing. I heard him say, Chen is the priority. Make sure he doesn't make it home. The words hung in the air like smoke. He ordered my father's death. He ordered all of our deaths. But David was the main target. The rest of us were just loose ends. Marcus opened his eyes. Your father fought like a demon. Even after he was shot, he kept fighting. He gave 3 of us time to reach the helicopter. But Richardson wouldn't wait. He wouldn't let the pilot go back for David. Why didn't you say something when you got home? Why didn't you? I tried. Marcus's voice rose. I went to my commanding officer. He told me to forget what I saw. I went to Naval Intelligence. They said there was no evidence of wrongdoing. I went to a journalist I trusted, and 3 weeks later he was dead in a car crash. He slammed his hand on the table. Everyone I told either turned on me or ended up in the ground. Richardson owns people, Maya. People you'd never suspect. Catherine stepped forward, placing a calming hand on her husband's shoulder. Show her the evidence, she said quietly. Marcus took a breath. Then he reached under the table and pulled out a metal lockbox. Old. Rusted. The kind of thing you'd bury and forget about. He opened it and pulled out a cassette tape. I recorded everything, he said. Every radio transmission, every order Richardson gave. I had a personal recorder running the whole mission against regulations, but something felt wrong from the start. He held up the tape. This is Richardson's voice ordering our positions broadcast to the enemy. This is him telling the pilot to leave. This is proof that he murdered 5 American soldiers to cover up his own crimes. Maya stared at the tape. Such a small thing to carry so much weight. Why didn't you release this before? Because no one would believe it. A cassette tape. In the age of digital manipulation, Richardson's lawyers would claim it was fake. They'd destroy my credibility, destroy my family, and bury the story before it ever got traction. Marcus set the tape on the table. But you're different. You're David Chen's daughter. You're a SEAL. You're the woman who put 3 men on the floor and made national news. People are paying attention to you right now. You want me to release it? I want you to do more than that. Marcus pulled out a folder, thick, worn, filled with documents. This is everything I've collected over 16 years. Bank records, wire transfers, communications between Richardson and foreign contacts, names of everyone in his network. He pushed the folder toward her. With this and the tape, you won't just take down Richardson. You'll expose the entire operation. Maya opened the folder. The first page was a list of names. Some she recognized, some she didn't. One name made her blood freeze. Admiral Kenneth Hayes, she read aloud. Chief of Naval Operations. Richardson's biggest protector. He's been covering up this mission since day 1. Marcus's voice was grim. Hayes signed off on the official report that blamed your father for the mission's failure. He's the one who made sure no investigation ever went anywhere. The head of the Navy is corrupt. The head of the Navy is a murderer, just like Richardson. Marcus leaned back. You see what you're up against now. This isn't just one senator. This is a conspiracy that goes to the highest levels of military leadership. Maya closed the folder. I don't care. You should. These people will kill you without hesitation. They already killed my father. They already took everything from me. Maya stood up the folder in her hands. I'm not afraid of them. I'm not hiding like you did. I'm going to walk into the light and burn them all down. Marcus looked at her with something like wonder. You really are David's daughter. Damn right I am. Catherine stepped forward. There's something else you should know. Richardson is holding a fundraiser tomorrow night in Washington, black tie. $5,000 a plate. Every power player in the city will be there. Maya understood immediately. That's where I need to be. It's suicide. Security won't be expecting me. Maya tucked the folder into her bag. Richardson thinks he's won. He thinks I'm running scared, hiding from federal charges. He's not looking over his shoulder right now. And when he sees you, he's going to wish he'd never heard my name. Marcus struggled to his feet, his bad leg nearly buckling. Catherine caught him, steadied him. Wait, he said. There's one more thing. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small object, a dog tag on a chain. Battered, stained with something dark that might have been blood. This was your father's, Marcus said. I took it from his body before we left. I know I should have given it to your mother, but I couldn't. I needed something to remind me why I was still fighting. He held it out to her. It's time you had it. Maya took the dog tag. Her father's name was stamped into the metal. Commander David Chen. His service number. His blood type. She'd never seen it before. Never known it existed. He talked about you, Marcus said quietly. On the mission, when things were quiet. He talked about his little girl back home. Said you were the toughest kid he'd ever known. Said you'd grow up to do great things. His voice broke. He had no idea how right he was. Maya closed her fingers around the dog tag, felt the weight of it, the history, the sacrifice. Thank you, she whispered. Marcus nodded. Go. Do what I couldn't. Finish this. Maya walked to the door. She paused with her hand on the handle. When this is over, she said, you won't have to hide anymore. I promise you that. She stepped out into the Montana night. The stars were bright overhead, brighter than she'd seen in years. Her father used to tell her that every star was a soul watching over them. She wondered if he was watching now. Her phone buzzed. Jake's number. Where are you? Montana. I got what I needed. Good. Because things are moving fast back here. Richardson's people are looking for you everywhere. They've got private security combing the city. Let them look. I'll be in Washington tomorrow night. Washington, Maya, that's insane. Richardson's holding a fundraiser. I'm going to crash it. Silence on the line. You're going to walk into a room full of his supporters and allies and do what exactly? Destroy him. Maya started walking toward her car. Call Reed. Tell him to be ready. When I give the signal, I need that tape broadcast everywhere. Every network, every website, every platform. What signal? Maya smiled. He'll know it when he sees it. She hung up and climbed into her car. Washington was 26 hours away. 26 hours until she faced the man who killed her father. 26 hours until the truth finally came out. Maya pulled onto the dark road and drove toward the dawn. The Grand Hyatt ballroom was packed with the most powerful people in Washington. Senators, congressmen, lobbyists, defense contractors, old money and new corruption, all dressed in black tie and fake smiles. Senator Richard Richardson stood at the center of it all, shaking hands, accepting congratulations, playing the role he'd perfected over 16 years. He had no idea what was coming. Maya arrived at 8:47 p.m. She didn't use the main entrance. A service door on the east side left unlocked by a kitchen worker Jake had contacted. The man had served in Afghanistan, lost his brother to an IED. When Jake explained who Maya was and what she was trying to do, he didn't hesitate. Maya moved through the kitchen past confused staff members who didn't have time to stop her. Her dress was simple black, fitted, borrowed from a friend of Catherine's who lived in Virginia. Her father's dog tag hung hidden beneath the fabric pressed against her heart. She reached the ballroom entrance just as Richardson was taking the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, he announced, his voice carrying over the crowd, thank you all for being here tonight. Your support means more than you can possibly know. Maya stepped through the doors. A few heads turned, then a few more. The whispers started almost immediately. Is that? It can't be. She was supposed to be arrested. Richardson didn't notice at first. He was too busy basking in the applause, too confident in his own invincibility. Maya walked forward, steady, unhurried. Every step deliberate. The crowd parted around her like water around a stone. Some moved out of curiosity. Others moved out of fear. Everyone moved. Richardson finally looked up. His speech faltered mid-sentence. For a moment, just a moment, his mask slipped. Maya saw the fear underneath, the recognition, the understanding that everything was about to change. Then the mask came back. "Well," he said, forcing a laugh into the microphone, "it seems we have an uninvited guest. Security." Two men in suits started toward Maya. She didn't slow down. "I wouldn't do that," she said, her voice cutting through the murmurs. "Not unless you want everyone here to know what you did in the Philippines 16 years ago." The room went silent. Richardson's smile froze. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Yes, you do." Maya stopped about 20 feet from the stage, close enough to see his eyes, close enough to watch them fill with panic. Operation Silent Thunder, June 14, 2008. 5 American soldiers left behind to die, including my father. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Phones came out. Recording. "This woman is clearly disturbed," Richardson said, his voice tightening. "She assaulted my son, and now she's making wild accusations. Your son put his hands on me. He got what he deserved." Maya reached into her bag. The security guards tensed hands, moving toward their weapons. "Relax. It's not a gun." She pulled out the folder Marcus had given her. "This is 16 years of evidence. Bank records, wire transfers, communications between you and foreign intelligence services." She held it up for everyone to see. "You weren't just a corrupt officer senator. You were a traitor. You sold out your own men for money." "That's a lie," Richardson's composure cracked. "I won't stand here and be accused by some what?" Maya's voice rose. "Some woman, some girl who doesn't know her place. That's what you thought when you saw me in that restaurant, isn't it? That's what your son thought. That I was weak, vulnerable, an easy target." She took another step forward. "But I'm not weak. My father wasn't weak. And the 5 men you murdered weren't weak either. I never murdered anyone. I have the recording." Richardson stopped breathing. "Marcus Webb," Maya said. "Remember him? You thought he was dead. You thought you'd buried everyone who knew the truth." She smiled. "You were wrong." A murmur swept through the crowd. Someone near the back was already on their phone, probably calling a newsroom. Richardson's face went from pale to gray. "Whatever recording you think you have, it's fake. It's manufactured. My lawyers will— Your lawyers can't help you." Maya pulled out her phone. "Right now this recording is being broadcast on every major network. CNN, Fox, MSNBC, everyone. By the time you finish this sentence, the whole country will know what you did." Richardson looked at his aide, a thin man with glasses who was frantically checking his own phone. The aide's face told him everything he needed to know. "Oh God," the aide whispered. "It's everywhere." The room erupted. People started shouting, demanding explanations. Some tried to leave, wanting to distance themselves from the radioactive senator. Others pushed forward, wanting to hear more. Richardson grabbed the microphone. "This is a setup, a conspiracy against me. I am innocent. You left my father to die." Maya's voice cut through the chaos. The room quieted. He was shot twice. He was still fighting. He made it to within 50 meters of the helicopter. Maya's eyes locked on Richardson. "And you gave the order to leave. You watched him die, and then you came home and accepted a medal for your leadership. I made a command decision. You murdered him." Maya's voice cracked for the first time. "You murdered my father because he found out what you were doing. Because he was going to expose you. Because he had the integrity that you never had." Richardson's mouth opened and closed. No words came out. Maya reached into her dress and pulled out the dog tag. Her father's name glinted in the light. Commander David Chen. That's his name. The name you tried to erase. The name you tried to bury. She held it up so everyone could see. But you can't bury the truth, Senator. And you can't kill everyone who knows it. Security! Richardson screamed. Get her out of here, now! The guards moved forward. Maya didn't flinch. Touch me, she said quietly, and I promise you'll regret it. They hesitated. They'd all heard the stories by now. The video from the lighthouse had gone viral. Everyone knew what this small woman could do. The head of security made a decision. He stepped back. Smart choice, Maya said. Richardson was sweating now, his perfect hair falling across his forehead, his expensive suit suddenly looking like a costume. The confident senator had vanished. In his place was a cornered animal. You don't understand, he said, his voice dropping. I did what I had to do. The mission was compromised. We were all going to die. You radioed our position to the enemy. Maya took another step toward the stage. You told them exactly where to find us. I have the recording, Richardson. Your voice, your words. You can't spin your way out of this one. I was following orders. The admission echoed through the ballroom. Maya froze. What did you say? Richardson seemed to realize what he'd done. His face twisted with desperate calculation. I wasn't the only one. There were people above me. People who wanted that mission to fail. I was just following. Who? Maya demanded. Who gave you orders to betray your own men? Richardson's eyes darted around the room, looking for allies, looking for escape, finding neither. I want a lawyer, he said. I'm not saying anything else without a lawyer. Too late for that. A new voice coming from the ballroom entrance. Maya turned. Captain Thomas Reed walked through the crowd, flanked by two men in FBI jackets. His charges had been dropped that morning. Reed had made sure to tell her over a secure line while she was driving through Wyoming. Senator Richard Richardson, Reed announced. You are under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder, espionage, and treason against the United States. He nodded to the FBI agents. Take him. Richardson tried to run. He made it 3 steps before the agents grabbed him. His carefully constructed world collapsed in real-time live on every news network in the country. This isn't over, he screamed as they cuffed him. You don't know who you're dealing with. I have friends, powerful friends. Admiral Hayes was arrested an hour ago, Reed said calmly, along with 6 other members of your network. Your powerful friends are going to be sharing cells with you. Richardson's face crumbled. The last of his defiance drained away, leaving nothing but a broken old man in an expensive suit. Get him out of here, Reed ordered. The FBI agents dragged Richardson toward the exit. The crowd parted again, this time with disgust rather than fear. Some people spat at him. Others shouted accusations. One woman threw her champagne in his face. Maya watched him go. 16 years of lies, 16 years of her father's memory being dragged through the mud. 16 years of a murderer walking free building power, destroying anyone who got close to the truth. It was over. Reed approached her, his expression unreadable. You could have been killed coming here alone. But I wasn't? No, you weren't. He almost smiled. Your father would have done the exact same thing. Maya felt tears threatening. She forced them back. Not here. Not now. What happens next? Congressional hearings, criminal trials, a complete investigation into Operation Silent Thunder and everyone connected to it. Reed paused. Your father will be exonerated. His record will be cleared. The truth about what he died trying to protect will finally come out. Maya nodded. It was what she wanted, what she'd fought for. But it didn't bring him back. Maya. She turned. Jake was pushing through the crowd toward her, his face a mixture of relief and exhaustion. You actually did it, he said. You crazy, beautiful lunatic. You actually did it. Maya almost laughed. Almost. We did it, she said. All of us. The next few hours were a blur. Police, FBI, journalists shouting questions from behind barricades. Maya gave one statement, brief, direct, focused on her father's sacrifice rather than her own actions, and then disappeared into a waiting SUV with Jake and Reed. They drove to a small diner outside the city, the same kind of place Maya had gone after the restaurant incident. Sticky tables, bad coffee, real food. She ordered a burger. Jake ordered pancakes. Reed just got coffee and sat in silence, staring out the window. "What's on your mind, Captain?" Maya asked between bites. "Just thinking about your father." Reed turned his coffee cup in his hands. "About the promise I made him. About whether I kept it." "You kept it." "Did I?" Reed looked at her. "I let you walk into danger alone. Twice. I let you carry a burden that should have been mine." "You prepared me." Maya set down her burger. "Everything I know, everything I am, you helped shape that. You kept my father's memory alive. You made sure I became someone who could finish what he started." She reached across the table and put her hand on his. "You kept your promise, Thomas. My father would be proud." Reed was quiet for a long moment. Then he nodded, something loosening in his shoulders that had been tight for 16 years. "Thank you," he said quietly. They ate in comfortable silence. The television in the corner was playing coverage of Richardson's arrest. The Chiron read Senator arrested for treason. Navy SEAL's daughter exposes 16-year conspiracy. Maya watched it for a moment, then looked away. She didn't need to see it. She'd lived it. Her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "We saw everything." "Thank you. Marcus and Catherine." Maya smiled and put the phone away. Outside, the first light of dawn was breaking over the horizon. A new day. A new beginning. She thought about her father. About the photograph on her nightstand back home. About the dog tag still pressed against her heart. "I did it, Dad," she whispered. The sun rose higher. 3 weeks later, Maya stood in Arlington National Cemetery. A small crowd had gathered Reed Jake, the surviving members of her father's unit, a handful of officials who wanted to be seen doing the right thing. And her mother. Linda Chen was smaller than Maya remembered. Grayer. Older. But her eyes were the same, fierce and proud, even through the tears. They hadn't spoken much since the news broke. Too much to process. Too many revelations. Too many years of believing a lie. But today they stood side by side. A Navy honor guard carried a flag-draped coffin to its final resting place. Not her father's body that had never been recovered, but a symbolic burial. The closure that 16 years of lies had denied them. The chaplain spoke words that Maya barely heard. Something about sacrifice, service, honor. When it was over, a bugler played taps. The haunting notes drifted across the cemetery, touching every headstone, every marker, every memory. The honor guard folded the flag with practiced precision. They presented it to Linda, who accepted it with trembling hands. Then, it was over. The crowd dispersed slowly. Officials shook Maya's hand. Veterans saluted her. Strangers thanked her for exposing the truth. She accepted it all quietly, graciously. But she was waiting for something else. When everyone else had gone, Linda Chen turned to her daughter. "Your father wrote me a letter," she said. "Before that mission. He gave it to one of the other men, told them to deliver it if he didn't come home. She reached into her purse and pulled out an envelope yellowed with age. I never opened it. I couldn't bear to. But Marcus Webb brought it to me last week. He was the one carrying it all these years. Maya stared at the envelope, her father's handwriting on the front. Just her mother's name. Nothing else. I want you to read it with me, Linda said. I can't do it alone. They sat on a bench overlooking the cemetery. Linda's hands shook as she opened the envelope. Inside was a single page. My dearest Linda, if you're reading this, it means I didn't make it home. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for all the nights I was gone, all the birthdays I missed, all the moments that should have been ours but weren't. But I need you to know something. Everything I did for you and Maya, for our family, for the country we love. Something is wrong with this mission. I can feel it. And if my instincts are right, I might not survive what's coming. But I won't be silent. I won't look away. Look, because that's not who I am. And it's not who I want our daughter to become. Tell Maya I love her. Tell her I believe in her. Tell her that being her father was the greatest honor of my life, greater than any medal, any commendation, any recognition. And tell her this: the world will try to make her small. It will try to make her quiet. It will try to convince her that she doesn't matter, that her voice doesn't count, that she should just go along with things the way they are. Don't let it. Don't ever let it. She has fire in her, Linda. The same fire that burns in me. And one day she's going to change the world. I love you both. Forever. David Maya couldn't see through her tears anymore. Neither could her mother. They held each other on that bench, two women who had carried loss for 16 years, finally able to grieve together, finally able to let go. He knew, Linda whispered. He knew all along. He always did. Maya wiped her eyes. He was the smartest man I ever knew. They sat there until the sun began to set, painting the cemetery in shades of gold and orange. Neither spoke. Neither needed to. Some silences carry more weight than words ever could. That evening, Maya drove back to San Diego, back to her apartment, back to the life she'd left behind a week ago. But she wasn't the same person who'd left. The world knew her name now. The story had gone global. Maya Chen, the Navy SEAL's daughter who exposed a senator's crimes, the woman who took down 3 men in 15 seconds and took down a 16-year conspiracy in less than a week. Reporters called constantly. Book agents, movie producers. Everyone wanted a piece of her. She ignored them all. Instead, she sat on her small balcony watching the Pacific Ocean in the distance, her father's dog tag in her hands, his letter folded in her pocket. Her phone buzzed. Jake. Saw the funeral coverage. You okay? Getting there. Reed wants to know if you're coming back to active duty. Maya thought about it. The missions, the deployments, the life she'd built in the shadows. Tell him I need some time. He figured you'd say that. He also said to tell you there's a new training program starting at Coronado. Special operations, advanced tactics. Jake paused. They want you to teach. Maya laughed. Actually laughed. Me, a teacher? You'd be good at it, and it would mean staying stateside, putting down roots. Another pause. Think about it. She thought about it. A week later, Maya walked through the gates of Naval Amphibious Base Coronado. Not as a trainee this time. Not as an operator. As an instructor. The young recruits stared at her as she passed, whispered to each other, pointed when they thought she wasn't looking. She smiled. Let them whisper. Let them wonder. Let them learn. Her first class gathered in the training room, 20 recruits, mixed genders, all terrified, all determined. They looked at her like she was something out of a legend. "My name is Petty Officer Maya Chen," she said. "Some of you know my story. Most of you think you do. But here's what matters: you're here because you think you have what it takes to be special. To be elite. To be the kind of person who runs toward danger when everyone else runs away." She walked among them, meeting each pair of eyes. "Some of you won't make it. That's not an insult, it's a fact. This life isn't for everyone, but for those of you who do make it." She stopped at the front of the room. "You'll become part of something bigger than yourselves. Something that matters." She thought about her father, about his letter, about everything he'd sacrificed to protect what he believed in. "The world will try to make you small," Maya said. "It will try to make you quiet. It will try to convince you that you don't matter." She looked at them. 20 faces, 20 futures, 20 chances to continue a legacy. "Don't let it." The recruits sat straighter. Some nodded. Some blinked back unexpected emotion. Maya smiled. Her father's fire lived on, and it always would, because some flames once lit can never be extinguished.